Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome back to the big 50 episode of the Since I Was Young podcast. 50 episodes, Alan. How fucking no, absolutely fucking how could I say this? I will have no idea. But we do thank everyone for this sticking around thus far for this episode. Joining you as always is myself, Ewan Ramsey, and Alan Scrimger. Alan, how are you doing, my man? You all right?
Hi, mate. I'm good. How are you getting on?
Yeah, all good, man. It's a shitty day, and we're going to talk about a shitty game and all, just to carry on the theme. So, as of course, we are referring to the very shocking, very surprising result that Hearts got beat by Celtic at Parkhead. Ridiculous. But anyhow, we will talk about the game a bit more in depth, as it was a 4-1 defeat to Celtic at Parkhead. So we will delve a wee bit, not too much, but we will delve a wee bit into the outcomes and the events of the game as such. And we're going to touch on the player awards night that was held just a couple of days ago, and we'll go through some of the winners of the awards and go through a bit about that. And then lastly, we will go into next week's very important, very not pointless at all game against Motherwell. So we will dive into a bit about that before we end the podcast. But as always, guys, if you aren't subscribed to the Since I Was Young podcast via YouTube, please think about subscribing, smash that like button as always. And if you want to get in contact with us through our socials as well, they're all on screen and in the description, all at SIWY Pod. And if you want to get in contact with us officially through our email, you can, since I was young 1874 at gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan, please feel free to do so. Our Twitter links will be in the description as always. So Alan, as I just said there, a very surprising loss at Celtic Park just passed there, and to let 4 goals in against Celtic, absolutely nonsense. Not happened that much for my lifetime, but as such, we move on. So, of course, Alan, we'll go through a bit of the lineup as well. More specifically, it's something that we briefly talked about when we've been talking about this specific player as well. So, Toby Sibbick, a player that maybe has not done as well as we might have thought he would have throughout the last half of the season. But you've made like the sort of observations that throughout, possibly more so next season, that you kind of see him as more as a sort of like a central defensive mid midfielder, possibly going into next year as well. And we saw him play next to Haring at Celtic. So just to kind of kick off things with that, what did you think of his sort of overall performance and his impact on the actual game itself? And do you feel or still feel that that's maybe something that kind of going forward, that might be his sort of ideal role? And if there's no sort of progression on Haring's contract talks, do you feel that he could be the player to kind of take that role, or sort of do you feel as if him sort of being in the central the defensive position might be a better outlook for him?
I think it's a tricky one because I think he's a player that, like you say, since he's come in, he hasn't really got going yet.
Yeah.
I think he's had a few decent games, and the rest of them have just been kind of average. But I mean, I think it's, as I say, it's an interesting one because he can clearly play that role. He played it when Stendhal was here, when he was here previously, Civic. So it's an option, and he obviously played it against Celtic, as you say. I don't think he was particularly bad against Celtic. I think he had his good and bad moments, just like everybody else. But I think it'll really, really depend on the summer and the recruitment side of things, because I was actually looking at it the other day, and we do have quite a lot of work to do on the recruitment side.
Strangely,
because obviously, if you're talking about Civic being a central defender, Then we've got Taylor Moore, who's probably not going to be back. We've got John Souttar, who's leaving. So if Civic's a centre back, we still probably need one or two.
Agreed, yeah.
If he's going to be a midfielder to replace Haring, which I hope is not the case. I hope
Not either,
signs,
but
we'll see on that one. But yeah, I mean, he could certainly play the role, and he, as I say, he did it pretty well. I think in the Celtic game, with him being next to Haring, he was kind of the one that was not asked to go forward, but like you could see that Civic was like carrying the ball forward on a few occasions. Obviously, got caught out on one particular occasion that led to a Celtic goal, but I really don't. I've not quite got Civic yet. I've not quite worked him out yet, like in terms of where he fits. But he's a quality little player. He just, I think, needs a run in a position where it's like, right, this is where you're going to play. And if that is central midfield next season, then give him time to do it, and give him a partner next to him like a Benny or a Devlin, or and take it from there. But yeah, it'll be an interesting one.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the only thing that, like, regardless, Tibik, I do agree. Like, like I'm going to take like the words out of your mouth, but I do think there is a player in there. I do. I mean, concerning him being a central defender, like I wouldn't mind if he was a backup, but to have him as one of the key men in that back line, it doesn't really fill me with confidence. I don't know if it's maybe just down to the fact of his, like, I know this might be a ridiculous like excuse, but I think his body size as well. I think he's more susceptible to getting pushed off the ball and being that key figure to actually make challenges, like, and make like sort of big impacts on that game. Like, because when you look at, like, the likes of, like, Snooker, fucking hell, Suter, how Kingsley, Moore as well, like they're all relatively big built guys, and they won't really be shy of a challenge and afraid to get, like, in like amongst it. Whereas I think Civic, like, if he wants to choose to be in that central defensive role, I mean, I think it maybe goes without saying that he needs to bulk up slightly, but in that same sense as well, I think if Robbie's thinking that he'd maybe be more suited to like a central, like, sort of midfield role, I think that might be a better outlook for him, because again, like, we've seen him, like, do these things, like, when he was under Stendhal, like, as well. And I think to improve on more of his footwork and to drive up the park as well, because in that central role, he's not going to be constantly defending. So I think if he's able to put that versatility in to his game, I think all round, and I think, like, going forward, I think that might be a better outlook for him as well. But again, like you said, I think it all falls down to recruitment, like, as well. And like you said, we'll have a lot of work to actually do one thing that I didn't actually take into, like, account. But as far as that goes, like, time will only tell. But we're going to talk about the only enjoyable 5 minutes of the game. And I've got to say, it was a very well worked move. Like, we'll have a tiny bit of luck as well. But, like, who that cares about that? So it only took 3 or 4 minutes, I think it was, for us to open the scoring, for Hearts to open up the scoring at Celtic Park, which, like, I mean, Sims, like, in that same sense, he gave us an inch. I took a fucking mile. Like, once we scored, I thought we're going to beat these fucking arseholes today. But yeah, like, just to talk us through it, Alan, like, like, it all came from a throw from Cochrane, who did play the ball in, which if the Celtic the defender had gotten, like, more of a touch on it, it probably wouldn't have came to nothing. But then it fell to Boyce, who found Sims, and again, fucking the on-form player right now, make me personally in this whole team, Ellis Sims. Again, another rocket of a fucking goal. Yeah, like I mean, it was only maybe about what 12 yards out, but still,
not even.
He finished it brilliantly, and
Yeah.
it's the power that he puts behind that ball. And like we said that last week, Alan, he just seems to have just barked like into life. And this was the kind of form I was hoping that Ben Woodburn would have maybe got into once he scored his for first goal. But you know, I don't know if you like agree or not, but yeah, I think Sims is the man on form right now, like in his whole team.
Oh, absolutely. Like I was at work and speaking to Celtic supporting colleagues of mine, and they were impressed with Sims. Like, and I think I said it before. It's just the all round package that he has. Like, he's quick with his feet. He's quick on the ball. You know, he can run. He can hold it up. He's physical. It's like you're saying about centre backs. Sims has got the perfect build for a centre forward in Scottish football. The goal itself was was solid. Like it was I mean, to be fair, we started really well. Like I think when we scored, it wasn't, I'm not gonna say it wasn't a surprise, because it's always a bit of a surprise to score a goal against Celtic, but it was actually like in our favour. Like the game was in our favour, albeit it was just 3 minutes in, but we kept the ball well and we worked up the pitch. And then I think Boyce's little sort of touch, like the little flick that Sims controlled, was pretty solid as well.
Definitely.
But yeah, he just sort of hits it on the half volley, like turning, and Joe Hart's got no chance from that close. Like there's no no goalkeeper saves that. But yeah, I mean, Sims is a fantastic player. He really is, and I hope that we see him again next season. But I just don't know. I have visions of him potentially going back to Everton, and then they might think about maybe loaning him to a championship level team in England or something like that. But as I say, I hope that we can put an attractive kind of package together for Everton to say, look, this player is going to get the best while he's with us, because what a player. And I think replacing him next season is a very, very difficult thing to do if you don't have him back.
Well, mate, you're absolutely right, and especially for Sims as well, and in his own development, with also with a guaranteed like sort of was it European football like as well. He himself would most likely want to stay as well, but because again, like either way with Everton, like how I see it, if they do go down in to the championship, like I get like the championship is a relatively good league, but at the same time, to get the experience of playing in in Europe as well, and to also get the chance to play like in a final as well, like surely he himself would want to stay, no?
I hope so. I think he's like I said, he's a brilliant player, and he's done incredibly well since he came in. I think it's 7 goals now. And the thing is, I mean, he's got a bit of an injury at the moment. I think there was an ongoing groin issue with him, and they're managing it because obviously they want him to play in the final.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We need him in a game like that. I don't know if we'll see him against Motherwell. To be honest, I don't think he'll be involved, but he might be. Just depends how his injury is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've run out of good things to say about Ellis Sims because
definitely, man.
The impact he's had since we've found a system that works with the players that we have, and
definitely, yeah,
it's improved Boyce as well. Albeit Boyce hasn't really scored a lot of goals, but that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, Sims is quality.
Yeah, and let's do hope that he wants to stay, and hope that Everton don't actually need him, mate. But as I said before, all in good time. So, Alan, I'm going to give you the pleasure of going through the next 4 goals that were scored in this game. So, yes, like, of course, I mean, we were, was it praising him like a wee bit, throughout his performance throughout the actual game, but unfortunately, he was the man to get fouled, and not caused the actual goal, but for circumstances that ended up to the equaliser. So Alan, half an hour went and it was 1-1. So what were your sort of thoughts at that point? That do you think it was going to be a humping from that point on, or do you still think that we could have possibly had a small chance at all?
Well, I think the first 10, 15 minutes we looked pretty good, to be honest. We were playing high up, we were trying to sort of not get in Celtic faces, but we were trying to actually at least stand up to them and kind of have a goal when we had the ball. But Celtic have this ability to just, it's almost like it just suffocates you. They just take the ball off you and they just don't let you have it back.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
And we, from about 20 minutes onwards, we just kept sinking further and further back on the park. And the equaliser just felt inevitable. Like you say, Civic was on the ball going forward.
Yeah.
And he's fouled. It's a foul. The referee didn't give it, but it was a foul. I can't remember who it was that tackled him, but it was absolutely a foul. Should have been a free kick to Hearts, but anyway, as Robbie said after the game, you don't get these kind of decisions in Glasgow. I think Robbie should just have himself on tape, just to repeat that every time we go through to Glasgow, because it seems to be that's his excuse all the time. It's like you just don't get these decisions, or you need a bit of luck. But
very true.
Yeah. Civic loses the ball via a foul. Did I mention it was a foul?
No, absolutely not.
The ball sort of breaks and they work it through midfield. And the thing is that where they work it through, that's where Civic probably would have been.
Yeah.
But he was fouled. And the ball just kind of gets played in. And, it's frustrating because it's one of those goals that it's avoidable.
Yeah,
but,
I get you.
You kind of... It was a good finish from Maeda, I have to say. It was good. It was well worked. As Celtic goals tend to be this season, I've noticed a lot of their goals are very well put together, just because of the way that they play.
Of course,
but, yeah. As I say, it was annoying, but incredibly inevitable that they were going to equalise. We couldn't, we had our little 15 minutes in Glasgow where we looked decent, and then we just went, all right, lads, that's enough now.
As per Alan. So that is goal one done. A goal two. I know what the answer is, Alan, but was the ball absolutely 100% over the line?
Yeah, unfortunately it was. I had a bit of conversation with someone on Twitter at the time of the game, so I was watching it, and they were saying that it was a foul on Gordon and that Kyogo sort of punches the ball over the line. But I think it's one of those that when I watched it in real time, I thought, how's he got that over the line? He kind of jumped into Gordon and it went in. But you watch it back and he does header the ball, and the jump carries him into Gordon, and it's to Craig Gordon's credit that he even managed to get a hand on it.
I know. I mean, I think when the ball initially came in, I don't know if maybe Gordon committed himself maybe too much to to actually be that far away from the center the goal. But again, it's all in was it in circumstances, because you knew that Celtic were were taking back control with their title win literally a ball here away. You were kind of expecting that, Alan. But when it got to half time again, my 5 minutes hope certainly went down the fucking drain as well. I will say when we got into the second half, and when again inevitably when the next goal went in. Again, I won't have any qualms about it, but I will say that O'Reilly, was it the quarter goal? I do have to admit that it was a decent finish from him.
Yeah. I think it's frustrating again because we started the second half actually not that badly. It was almost like Robbie had said, right, let's get back out there and start the second half how we started the first half.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we did okay for the first sort of 10, 15 minutes of the second half. And then, but you always knew that like that game wasn't going to finish 2-1. Like
No.
we weren't going to score another goal. And then when the third goal went in, it was, as I said, with the first one, it was just inevitable. You sort of thought, right, this is happening. Yeah, it is frustrating, and I keep saying it
It is what it is.
we've always said this about whenever we go to Glasgow. It's you're very lucky if you come away with something. And I don't know why it is. I don't know why it is. There's worse teams than us that go through to Glasgow and pick up points. Not
Precisely,
regularly, but you
yeah.
get them every now and again. So yeah, there's a lot of frustration for me, but it was such a, like I put it on Twitter and I think it sums it up. I said I've seen this movie before because I knew it. Like it's always going to happen. They have this ability to just create chances at will, particularly at Parkhead.
I get you. And what was the stat that you sent me, like in terms of like, because like of course, like with Celtic and the Rangers, like the golf in class, like, but there's no denying it. But what was the thing you sent me about the wage gap in terms of what the ratio is like between us and Celtic?
Yeah, so it was for every £1 that we pay in wages,
Yeah.
Celtic pay £6.70 on average.
Yes, so there you go.
So you're talking about their players are earning 6 times more than ours. And it's not a surprise.
No.
And Rangers will be similar levels anyway. But it's just interesting to sort of think about, because although, this summer we're probably about to come into some decent money with the different avenues that we've got to go down and finish in third in the cup and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to this is going to be a profitable summer for Hearts, but we're still going to be nowhere near them on that level. And obviously,
yeah,
Rangers get into a Europa League final, they'll make money for that as well. So
yeah,
that's a whole wider argument to have. But the gap between the old firm and the rest of us, not just Hearts, like the rest of us, is it's almost impossible to catch up.
I get you. Yeah, no, I get you. But like, in that same sense as well, because you're absolutely right that it is like a much like sort of a bigger conversation. But in that same sense, like when we had the debate about like, rugby pay, like, was it $500,000 for like, for Shankland, like in that same sense, like do you feel as if like, if we want to get to a stage where we're almost competing like against the goals firm, like, do you feel as if like not like spending like like ridiculous like amount of money, but do you feel as if we would in the long term have to actually spend money to try and even close that gap just slightly, like for the future?
I think so. I think you have to be smart with it. Like, there's a reason why, like, Mirsad Bezlija is still our highest paid highest paid transfer, and that was in 2006. 2006. So, I mean, when you look at it that way and you say, well, we're in 2022 now, we haven't paid more than, what was it, 650 or 700 and something?
About that, yeah.
Like, it's the thing is as well, Celtic, even the players they brought off the bench, there's millions of pounds of sitting, players just sitting on the bench for Celtic that we don't have.
Precisely.
And it's, as I say, it's a whole other conversation for a whole other day. But I think, and I've said this before, I think our recruitment is smart. And I think, the way that things are going, it's good.
Yeah,
the recruitment that we're making, like you look at like Natty Atkinson, for example, being signed for like a 5-figure sum. He'll, when we sell him, and I'll say when we sell him, I agree. That's the model that we're trying to do. When we sell a player like Natty Atkinson, if we do it right and if his career goes the right way, it's profit. It's guaranteed profit. And that's what we have to do. And I think there's lots of examples in Scottish football of clubs that need to do that too. But the whole thing is the golfing class between Celtic and Rangers and the rest of us is purely, I mean, it's not purely financial, because obviously they've got, 40,000, 50,000 fans, however many fans they have in their stadiums every week. So the money that they generate helps them get better every year. And we are the same, i.e., the money we generate will help us get better every year. But whilst we're doing that, they're doing it too.
Precisely,
So
on a much bigger scale as well, so
yeah, and I think, as I say, that's the kind of golfing class that you have, and when they can bring players like that Giamakis off the bench, he scored the last goal of the game. Millions of pounds they paid for him. You know what?
what
It is what
you
it
do?
is.
Well,
No,
exactly, Alan, exactly. But I mean, just to kind of put us out of that dull, dreadful performance, just to sort of go through the last goal and your thoughts overall on the actual game itself, Alan.
I think the last goal was a scramble. I saw a thing again on Twitter after the game. It was Giamakis was actually offside in the build up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So on another day when VAR comes in December, that I made a joke about it on Twitter. I said, I can't wait till we draw those daft lines on the pictures, and then we debate the thickness of the lines, because that's what happened in England.
Literally, right? Literally,
that's what happened in England. Oh, the lines are too thick, it favors the defender. Oh, the lines are too thick, it favors the striker. Like I'm well prepared for all these debates to happen.
100%.
But yeah, he was offside. But then, it's one of those. He was in the right place at the right time to score a goal. So, we'd kind of put our heads down by that point. It was, game's done. What's the point? Let's just get back down the road. I think the biggest victory that we can take out of the weekend's game is that we escaped with no injuries.
Yeah, true, but Alan, true, but and I mean, suppose again, these games don't really particularly matter. But I mean, I would have probably liked it to be in a smaller scoreline. But again, you can't just help these things when you go to Celtic Park. So I think it's probably a good time to end it there for the Celtic game. So as previously mentioned, it was a 4-1 defeat to Celtic at Parkhead, but at least we came away with a goal. So at least we're going to talk about something nice, Alan. So all good there. So we'll look ahead to something a bit more positive, Alan, as we had the Player Awards night just not too long ago, and there were some very shocking winners as well, Alan. Like, I won't lie. Craig Gordon, pish off season, hasn't he? How the fuck did he win one? But of course, it was. I'll just take you through the actual awards that were given out. So, the Fans Player of the Year was, of course, Craig Gordon. The Players Player of the Year was, of course, Craig Gordon. And lastly, the goal of the season was Stephen Kingsley against Hibs in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup. So, Alan, were you as shocked as me for that Craig Gordon of all people? Like, fans and players, player of the year? Shocking, isn't it?
He's just glorious, isn't he? He's just glorious. Was it really going to be anybody else? Let's be honest. Like, we had a conversation.
Well, I've got one player in mind that I will not mention, but please, yeah, carry on.
But yeah, he's just phenomenal, and I think it would have been. I mean, we've said it before. We've had lots of very good performers this season throughout the season. People like Haring, Halkett, Kingsley, Benny, Devlin at times have been solid as well. But I think if you look across the entire season, I think it was only ever going to go to one person.
Agreed.
And yeah, he's just glorious. And he had a bespoke fitted suit for him as well on the night, which, he's just a glorious man. And he also won the Football Writers Player of the Year award, which proves that football writers know more than professional footballers, because the professional footballers gave it to Callum McGregor. So,
we will not mention that name, but yeah.
It's just a quick one on that. Craig Gordon is a class act. He's won the Football Writers Player of the Year award in each of the last 3 decades. He's won it 3 times.
There you go.
His time at Hearts. So, as I say, football writers clearly know a little bit more about football than professional football players.
Agreed on that one, Alan. And just to ask you as well, just in case you thought there was like another one you had in mind, I would agree that Kingsley's goal against Hibs in the semi-final was just a remarkable the finish. Like, he scored some cracking free kicks as well. But again, just because it was just slightly different and it was well worked, and the fucking power and the fucking precision on that shot was just fucking tremendous. But would you agree that that was probably the goal of the season, or did you maybe have another one in mind?
I think Stephen Kingsley probably could have had a goal of the season competition by
Probably, yeah.
himself, to be
Literally, right?
honest. I personally thought his goal against St Mirren, I think it was St Mirren, the free kick.
Yeah. I know which one.
Absolute rocket.
Mhm.
So that might have been my choice, but then you can't not give it for it. It's against Hibs at Hampden. You can't not
Literally, yeah.
It's just an absolute worldie. It's one of those
Mm.
goals that I will never tire of watching. It's up there with the Ali Mostert goal at Easter Road from the halfway line.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those that you could watch it comfortably, sit and watch it on repeat for about an hour. I adore Stephen Kingsley, and I think it's an unbelievable
100%.
free kick.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever in doubt, as I say, considering the opposition. Hopefully he's got another one in his locker for the next time we're at Hampden, because that would be nice.
Oh, you and me both, Alan. And just to kind of highlight one more thing as well. Peter Haring / Clark fucking Kent. Like, what was that all about? With the glasses and the hair and the suit. Like, the man, why we not give him a contract just based on that, Alan? The dress sense just based on that. Like, come on, Robbie.
I know, but did you see have you watched the video of them coming off the bus yet?
I haven't, no.
Oh, mate, you got to watch it. There's some absolute shockers in there, but
it might be a bit of a private time with me, yeah. So,
well, your man Halliday is in the conversation, but he turns up in like a wee zipped up jumper thing. The rest of them are on like their suits and that. I'm like, Andy, mate, you've not got the
let down, man.
No, I think it's. I ran a poll on Twitter purely for the laughs, which was who's the next James Bond out of these, and it was Stephen Kingsley. By the way, what a suit he had on! This is going down a whole different territory, but it had little maroon trim on it as well. It was glorious. But Cammy Devlin won the poll, by the way. Next James Bond, Cammy Devlin.
Fucking the size of that man, mate. I would not be too sure about that.
But no, Haring, like as I say, I've heard him be described as a Superman, Clark Kent, as well as an accountant or a substitute teacher. That was the other. That was the other one that I thought was quite funny.
Brilliant.
Like a substitute history teacher, But he's just a glorious man, and I've said it so many times. We absolutely need to give him a contract. But the thing is, we've obviously given him one. He just briefly before we move on, because I feel like I want to talk about it now. We saw a few weeks ago, he said that he was waiting until after the semi-final to kind of decide what he was going to do. I'd like to think because we've won the semi-final and we're now in the final, he's going to wait till after the final to tell us what he's going to do.
Piss taken, man.
Yeah, I know. I hope that he signs a contract, as I've been saying for months and months and months and months and months. But with each passing day, I'm starting to doubt it. But that look he had last night... nobody matches that. Nobody matches that.
Like I said, Alan, private time for me later on. But yes, very well done to the players that won the award last night as well. But again, well done to all the players as well throughout the season. You have all put on a cracking show throughout the season. So, Alan, we will swiftly move on to the last bit as we face Motherwell next week as well. The last one of 2 games for the season itself before we have the Scottish Cup final as well. What are you thinking, Alan? Again, I'm just going to let you take this because I'm so fucking uninterested in this game as well. What are your thoughts? What would you like to see? And I would like to ask you at the end for a predicted score line for our ever so incredible score prediction board as it has been throughout all of this season.
We're still level on that, aren't we?
Yep.
We're still level.
Yeah,
we're going to end up having to just do rock paper scissors at the end of the season to see
literally,
who wins,
man. Literally.
But no, I think back to Motherwell. I think Motherwell are one of those teams that will either turn up and do something or turn up and do nothing. I know that sounds ridiculously.
No, but you're all right though.
Do you know what I mean? They're just that kind of side. I'm genuinely interested to see what Robbie does with the team, because obviously we've got Rangers in the league after it, and then Rangers in the cup, obviously not too far away. So there's 2 different schools of thought. I think personally he'll go down the route of rotating players for the Motherwell game. I think we'll see maybe Michael Smith get some minutes because he's back to fitness now. I think Suter might get some minutes. I think Devlin will probably play. And that's 3 players that we've not seen for a number of weeks.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, I don't think Sims will play because I think we'll be protecting him for the final.
Agreed on that.
But yeah, like the thing is, he could go as strong as he can against Motherwell, just to get like the momentum going again. Because obviously, I said it last week, like I wasn't expecting a result against Celtic because we don't get them, but I was expecting a performance, and we kind of showed it a little bit. Not great, but it wasn't bad.
No, I get you.
As I say, we've played a lot worse than that in Glasgow recently, to be fair. So yeah, I think the Motherwell game will be interesting, and I'm inclined to say that I think, what am I going to go with prediction? Thing is, I don't know if Motherwell have got anything left to play for. I don't think they do. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think they do. I don't think. Well, I mean, they're still in the conversation with Dundee United for 4th place, which is obviously European football as well. A point ahead of Ross County. They're currently 5th at the moment, Motherwell. So I think it could be an interesting game without really being a meaningful game, if that makes sense.
I get you.
So to that end, I am going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm going to go for Liam Boyce to score. Is that what you said as well?
I've literally just thought about it as well, right?
Is that what you said as well?
Yeah, but it's okay because I want the board to change. I don't care about doing a fucking forfeit. I really don't. And if I say, like, I would be lying if I wanted to comment on how the games that are going to go, Alan, but literally, I don't give a fuck. So literally, to that end, for a prediction wise, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Hearts. It probably won't happen, but again, yeah, you have to keep optimistic and big about these things, Alan. So as just previously mentioned there, Alan is going to go for a 1-1 draw against Motherwell, and I'm going to go for a slightly optimistic win against Motherwell, with Hearts going to have the victory 2-1. And that brings you to the end of the 50th episode of the Since I Was Young podcast. And as always, guys, just to say, like, again, like, it seems like we just say it without actually saying it, like, you know, any sort of meaning behind it, but it does mean quite a lot to myself and Alan for doing 50 episodes of this podcast. As we said, like, you know, we just thought it was going to be something we would do for lockdown to pass the time, but we've really enjoyed it, and we've been really particularly enjoyed interacting with you guys as well. So honestly, thank you so much again for watching as always, and it is greatly appreciated. And here's to another 50 episodes as we go on. So from me and Alan, as always, thank you very much for watching, and if you aren't subscribed, please think about subscribing via our YouTube page and smash that like button. As always, all of our our links to our socials as well will be in the description, as well as our email, and as well as mine and Alan's Twitter links to our pages as well. So from myself and Alan, thank you very much for watching, and we hope you have a great week. You take care now. Bye for now.